Lovepod English.
Hello, my name is Jenny. I study English literature, and this is my story. I'd like to share my life in London and tell you about my amazing teacher, Rose. You can follow my story and learn English with me. It's a lovely summer day. I'm on a train, and two women sit nearby. The two women are sitting across from me, talking in English. I don't understand much. I'm learning English, but I'm just a beginner. My vocabulary is small. I start a conversation using simple English. They understand me, and that makes me happy. I tell them I want to learn English well. The women say they're from England and are returning home from a conference. We talk for about 10 minutes. The next stop is mine. I say goodbye, and they give me their address and phone number. They invite me to visit them in England. After this, I study English every single day. I translate short texts and watch movies in English. After 6 months, my English gets better, but I still want to improve. I travel to London to study English there. When I arrive, I join a language school. My first class is on Monday, and I meet Miss Rose, my teacher, and my classmates. Miss Rose is young and kind. We introduce ourselves, then begin the lesson. She asks us questions to test our basic knowledge of English. She explains her teaching method. It's simple and effective. She says we won't need textbooks or memorizing. Instead, we'll use English in daily life. This approach works really well for me. Textbooks always confused me. Then we discuss what truly matters in learning a new language. Miss Rose tells us that language is both a purpose and a way to connect. We need it to share ideas, thoughts, and communicate with others clearly. So, when learning a new language, the best method is to use it, express your feelings, and speak with others. That's what we'll do in this course. We'll talk and use English often. Many students memorize words or grammar, but they don't actually speak English, and that's the problem. They study the language, but don't use it. That's the key difference. Of course, you must learn vocabulary and grammar, but not by memorizing. Practice them daily instead. In this course, Miss Rose shows us an easy and effective way to learn both grammar and new words. I love her approach. The lesson continues. We talk about hobbies and what we enjoy doing in our free time. We work in pairs or with Miss Rose. I truly enjoy these classes. This learning system turns out to be very effective for me. On Tuesday, I return to school. One student asks something that interests me. She asks, "What's the best way to learn new words?" Miss Rose smiles and says there are many ways, but the most effective one is reading. People who read learn new words much faster than those who don't. Reading helps your vocabulary grow naturally while you enjoy the language. It's best to read for at least 30 minutes each day. Let me show you how to make reading most effective. First, choose books or texts that truly interest you. Enjoying what you read is essential. Your book can be fiction or nonfiction, depending on what inspires you. Don't read things that bore you. When you know few words, it's easy to get frustrated. Always enjoy your time using English. Pick texts that match your level and interest. When you find an unfamiliar word, open a dictionary and check its meaning to understand better. Then look carefully at its meaning. This deepens your understanding and builds knowledge. You don't have to write the word down. Your brain will remember it naturally. Each time you meet a new word, repeat this step. It will stay locked in your memory for good. Reading has another big advantage. You not only learn new words, but also how they connect within sentences. You can see proper word links and structure. This makes learning faster and stronger. Try it, and you'll notice how quickly your vocabulary improves. Then class went on. We discussed life in England and good jobs for students. I liked this topic because I wanted to work in my free time. I asked classmates where I might find a job. They suggested the local job center, which offers many opportunities, especially for students like us. That advice was great. I felt happy knowing where to apply. After school, I went straight to the job center. I wasn't sure what work suited me, so I asked the lady there which job was best for a student. She smiled and said they had several good student options. She explained I could work as a cleaner or a waitress at a cafe. I said I had no experience. She assured me my English was good enough for cafe work. The training was simple, and I'd get more chances to speak English there. She said I could start on Thursday. Everything sounded perfect. I was glad to have a job where I could practice English every day. Miss Rose always says reading 30 minutes daily helps too. On Wednesday, I returned to class. One quiet student from South Korea raised his hand with a question for Miss Rose. He said he struggled with pronunciation. He knew it wasn't very good, but didn't know how to fix it. He rarely spoke because he felt shy about his accent. Yet he read and watched English movies often, so his listening and understanding were already strong. He understood English well, but wanted to speak more clearly. He asked if there was a way to improve pronunciation. Miss Rose listened carefully and said, "All right, I'll explain pronunciation and how to practice it. I'll teach you techniques that can help everyone here. To improve pronunciation," she said, "we must know why learners struggle. When we speak, our mouths move, we use muscles to form sounds. The issue is many use those muscles as in their native tongue, so their English sounds different from native pronunciation. That's why your pronunciation can differ from native speakers. This happens to many English learners. Almost everyone sounds slightly different, but it's not a big issue. People usually understand you, even if your accent isn't perfect or completely natural. Still, you can improve your pronunciation with a great technique called shadowing. It's simple and powerful. When you shadow, you copy the sounds you hear. Children learn the same way, by imitating their parents until their pronunciation becomes perfect. You can master English sounds in the same way. Find videos or recordings that are slow and easy to understand. Listen carefully and repeat immediately as you hear them. That's it. Miss Rose then opened YouTube and searched for the shadowing technique. She found excellent videos demonstrating shadowing clearly. We watched one, then practiced it for about 3 minutes. Afterward, Miss Rose explained that shadowing also helps when preparing English presentations. Practice alone for about 10 minutes before you speak. You'll notice how much it improves your pronunciation during presentations. I found it fascinating. I'd never heard of this method before. After class, I went to the reception and asked if the school had any sports activities. I said I'd love to play something in England. The receptionist said yes, they have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team trains today at 5. I was thrilled because sports mean a lot to me. I joined the practice and met players from Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I loved it. I felt so happy my life in England was starting well. I had a wonderful teacher, new friends from football, and tomorrow I would start my first job, Miss Rose always says, to speak clearly, repeat after native speakers. On Thursday, I went to school again. That day, we had a new student. Her name was Elizabeth, from Italy. At the start, Miss Rose asked her a few questions. She already knew Elizabeth. She'd attended her summer class a year ago for beginners. When Elizabeth spoke, her voice sounded fluent and confident. Her pronunciation was excellent. Miss Rose smiled and said, "Your school in Italy must be great." Elizabeth replied, "I don't go to any school. I study at home using your methods, reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud." Her English sounded natural and clear. She said, "I try to think in English more than Italian. That's how I improve daily. The 2 weeks I spent in your class last summer guided me. You showed me how to study effectively. I was a beginner then, but now I can speak English. I wanted to learn with you again." Miss Rose was delighted by her words and praised her dedication. I found it truly inspiring. I already knew about reading and shadowing, but thinking aloud was new to me. Curious, I asked Miss Rose, "Rose, what is thinking aloud?" She smiled and began to explain. "It's a very effective method," said Miss Rose. "You need strong motivation to make it work. Some may think it sounds a bit strange, but once you start thinking aloud, your English will grow fast." I said, "I'm motivated. I don't care if it sounds crazy. If it helps, I want to learn," I added. "Can you teach us?" Miss Rose nodded. "It's simple," she said. "You think in your native language every day. Now, start thinking in English. Say your thoughts aloud as you think them. That's all, just speak your mind." I said, "That sounds simple, but why is it so effective?" Miss Rose smiled. "Maybe ask Elizabeth. She practices this method often." She turned to her. "Would you like to share your experience with thinking aloud?" "Of course," Elizabeth replied warmly. "At first, it wasn't easy," Elizabeth began. "I started with simple lines like, 'I can speak English. It's good I can speak English. I want to improve. I must practice daily. I don't know many words, but I use what I know. I can share ideas. I can do this.' My sentences were short and basic," she continued. "But my Italian thoughts were long and complex. I couldn't express them the same way in English. I had to simplify. Thinking in plain English was tough at first, but soon it became natural for me. Then something amazing happened," she said. "I met a man from Australia on holiday in Italy. I was still a beginner, yet we spoke English easily. My phrases were short but clear. I didn't need to translate from Italian to English anymore, it flowed. After that meeting," she said, "I practiced thinking aloud even more. It helped my speaking skills a lot. I still do it every day. It truly works." Miss Rose thanked Elizabeth for sharing her story. I wanted to try it too. To improve my spoken English, Miss Rose concluded. If you want to speak fluently, think aloud. And here's more advice. Read, listen, think, and speak. Do each for 40 minutes daily. You can read, listen, and shadow along with our basic English stories on Lovepod English.